Hello and welcome to my explanation. This is my final exam, the chapter 19. My name is Kevin Olia Herrera Flores and this is Social Variation in Language. Let's start with the chapter. In first place, we have social linguistics. It's used generally for the study of the relationship between language and society. This describes all the study, all the aspect, all the effect that a language can have for a society. This include, for example, all the culture of the people, the expectation that they have, even the content of the situation for the society. This relationship is like how the people use that language for the society and how the society affect for that language. This is kind of a relationship and very related in that people use like a personal language in their daily routine. Now we have social dialect. This is a variety of language with features that differ according to the social status of the speaker. This refers in how the different class in the society will use different words depending on the context or the situation. For example, the high class, they commonly use luxury words are very uncommon for the low class. In the low class, commonly they will use rude words that considered so bad for the high class. It depends. Also, it's very different having a conversation with a professor or a teacher against with a doctor. They will use different kind of words. In a doctor will use kind of technical words. Even in your own family, when you have a conversation with your brother or sister, you act like that, just brothers. But the way you speak or have a conversation with your mom or an elder person is so different against to brother or a close friend. Next, education and occupation. Those aspects can help us to identify the way of the people used to talk with others. For example, if you have a conversation with a profession, like a doctor, a teacher, whatever, they will use a lot of kind of words. They have a big vocabulary, they have a great pronunciation, and simply words, they are good speakers. On the other hand, if you want to talk with a street boy that people used to use a lot of bad words, they have a poor vocabulary, and they use a bad structure to create their sentence. This depends a lot on the place that people visit, the education that they received before, and the content. Next, social makers. A linguistic feature that marks the speaker as a member of the particular social groups. This is very common to see in the office, in the school, even in the street with a gang. This group common have like a word to represent a goodbye, another to represent a greetings. They have a like a personal dictionary to represent different situations. Another example could be in the school. A small group of kids have like a secret word, and if you want to be part of that group, you have to know that secret word. So all those issues markers are very common to see in the society. Speech style. A way of speaking that either formal careful or informal casual. This is, for example, you have explanation. You have your public. That public are very interested in your words and your opinion. So you will use a formal speech to share your words, your opinion, and so on. On the other hand, when you are with your family, with your close friend, you will use normal words, casual, very informal talking, because maybe they are not very interested in your words. So if you are very specific, very technical with your word, they will not understand your meaning. So it depends on the content and the situation. Style shifting. When people can change their speech style from formal to informal and vice versa. This is when you have the chance to way to speak with the people around you. Maybe in the first people you meet are very polite, a professional, so you are speaking in the formal way. But forward, you meet with your friend, a close friend, your family, you will talk in a formal way, very casual, because you need to talk with that person in that way. Again, it's depends on the situation, the people you met, and the context. Speech accommodation. Modify speech style toward or away from the perceived style the person being talked to. This is very similar to the last speech, but it depends in the other people that you are talking. For example, if you meet a new person and that person is a professional, you will acting like that, a professional, and keeping in the formal way. But in other hand, you meet a new person. In this case, is a farmer. Maybe you will use an informal speech because that person will not understand your technician. You to work are very complicated for that people because they are very humble and they use informal speech to communicate with others. Continue, we have convergence, adopting a speech style that attempts to reduce social distance by using words that are similar to those used by the person being talked to. This refers when you try to use a different way to speak depending on that person. For example, when you go out with your friend, you have your specific way to speak with them. But what happens when you're visiting your friend's mother? When you talk with her, you are more respectful, more humble. Try to don't be a fool with her. So is you are adapting to that person. This affects you, for example, in the job. When you're talking with the, in this case, a boss, you try to be very polite, very respectful, because you know that person is really important in this case for the office. Divergence. Adopting a speech style that emphasizes social distance by using words that are different from those used by the person being talked to. This is like when you visit United States and you are a good speaker of the English language. But around there, the people asking you to try to speak with the Latin American accent. And this means some Latin American that cannot speak so well English, they say that the word like is writing. For example, they say city, but Latin America could say city, and that's referred to the divergence. Now, continue, we have register, a combinational way of using language that is appropriate in a specific situation, occupation, or topic. This all thing depend to context. You are acting very different when you go to the church. When you are in your house, you are like a different person. You will use different language in that place than in your home. Also, when you use this kind of word, maybe you never use in other circumstances. For example, you never use medicine words in the school because you are not sick, you are not interested in the medicine, so you will use more words related to the school, like play, study, and something like that. This is very funny because here in El Salvador we have our own personal slang. For example, for money we use a lot of different words, even names. For example, we use pesos, bolas, and lucas. All these words refer here in El Salvador money. And that is all for me. Thank you very much for your attention and see you next time.